I'm Jasmine Wahi, and I am a curator and the co-director of Project for Empty Space, and I've been very lucky to work with Vortic and Anat Ebgi Gallery to create this nightmarish, dreamy show, Vampire Mother. Vampire Mother was inspired by what's happening in the world around us, the types of tropes and stereotypes that are often imposed on women and femme-identified people. So these tropes being the seductress or the mother or the caregiver or a weak person. So all of those kind of enmeshed into this character that I call the Vampire Mother, who is all of those things at the same time. So she is violent, she's sexy, she is mothering and caring and nurturing all at once, simultaneously, but also functioning independently depending on the circumstance. And the concept is really about how we can hold those archetypes within ourselves, but also use them to subvert the impressions people have of us or our capabilities. So the vampire castle came from the fact that I could do any type of architecture and environment that I could dream of. And so I thought, where would this character live? This sort of like morphic superhero, supervillain, and I couldn't think of any better place than in 16th century Dracula castle. And because Vortic allows for just your imagination to run free environmentally and architecturally, I asked if the designers and engineers could build a Dracula castle, and they said, sure, let's do it. The way I picked the artists was not only in the way I see the artists themselves as individuals, but the work that they make. And so each of them makes work that is about strong women or strong femmes. When I told the artists that the title was Vampire Mother and it was taking place in a Gothic Dracula castle, some of the artists who were working on installation already decided that they wanted to push the ability of those installations much further because they could in the digital space. Shoshanna Weinberger took the installation that she has in the physical gallery and placed it in a space that has a broken ceiling where it's always nighttime and the moonlight is hitting and refracting off of the actual installation piece. Laurie Simmons has recently started working with AI and VR, taking earlier works of hers or earlier inspirations of the dollhouse work. And so that's what we decided to go for, a life-size dollhouse within a house, the house being the castle. It's almost like a dystopian Barbie playhouse that's completely empty. And then for Bhasha, Chakrabarti, when I said we're doing this vampire castle, she said, oh, can I have a sex dungeon? And I was like, sure, why not? You can have a sex dungeon. So we pulled references of old underground clubs where everything in the room was covered in red velvet, including the ceiling and the floor. And we just went with this sort of burlesque-esque room. For artists, I think the digital space is sort of the ultimate freedom in the sense of pushing whatever you're thinking of, pushing it farther and farther because you're talking about a different dimension altogether. I think that having both a physical and digital exhibition is really essential moving forward. First, because it allows for multitudes of experience with the same types of work. Artists can have different ways of presenting their work, but also I think on the accessibility front, the digital space allows for a level of access from anywhere in the world that might not necessarily be possible with just a physical exhibition. So now someone can see this exhibition who lives halfway across the world and they can enjoy it at their leisure. Vortic allowed me to do something that I don't think I would be able to do in my wildest dreams, but it did really inform the actual gallery space in Los Angeles. Instead of doing a white box, more traditional gallery hang, I asked the gallery and they were very, very indulgent. And so I gelled all of the lights in the gallery to have this red haze. And then, of course, we also spotlit the work so they weren't completely obfuscated by the red light. But it helped create this environment in that physical space of the seductive, almost dangerous space. And so I think the way that I hung the physical show was really actually informed by what I built out in Vortic. I hope that every curator or person who's interested in exhibition making has the opportunity to work in an immersive VR space, because I think it pushes the limits of imagination and allows for us to think more dimensionally beyond sort of the realm of physical, two-dimensional white box space. Everyone I know who has been in the digital castle, the Vampire Mother Castle, has loved it. They have been very surprised and a little bit, I think, shocked by some of the choices I made with the additional rooms that were off the Vampire Castle. My hope is that it actually gives people a respite from the world around us and can transform them to a really different experience that takes them away from their everyday lives for a few minutes. This was my first virtual exhibition, and I would 100% do it again, maybe in outer space.